Welcome back. Welcome back, dear teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
So, shall we start?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
We are here.
Without much delay, we'll directly start the session. And I
Yeah.
request sincerely all the participants to please mute your microphones. And especially Lavanya ma'am, I have been asking you multiple times to keep yourself mute. I'm not able to mute you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Chandramouli sir. So, continuing with the session, we've the different core parts of the programming language. Any programming language has some things that makes it complete. First is input, output, condition. You can say conditional statements, loops. With the help of these things, a programming language is complete. I would say a programming language is incomplete if you don't have the input statement, the output statement, conditional statement, loops, and functions. No, I have not started sharing a screen as yet. Okay. So whenever you are trying to learn any programming language, you have to have learn input, output, conditions, loops, and functions. So we did the output part in the previous session. This time we'll do the output part. We'll try doing the output part. So again, the same thing, Google Lab. Somebody asking me the link for the Google Lab. Okay. So, new notebook. And now you get this file. You can change the name of the file from here, like this. And then you can continue writing the program in the file. We have seen the output. Now we will see the input. How to take the input from the user. So input is taken by a command known as input, a function, command, a keyword. You can call all these three because why we call it as a keyword? Because it is a standard word by the compiler, and as soon as you write input or print, the compiler will know what it is supposed to do. So if I say n is equal to input and I do this, and I'll say print n, I do only this much. So as soon as I execute the code, it will ask me some value and that would be printed. Okay? So let us see how it goes. So it asks me a value. I wrote a value and it prints it. I can give any value I want. I can give Pooja. So it will print Pooja. So that is the beauty of Python. You don't have to mention the data type. Any data type will work. Either you can give an integer, or you can give a float, or you can give a string, or you can give a boolean. In all the four ways, it will be treated the same way. I can also print the type of n. So it will tell me whether it is an integer, character, or boolean, depending upon the value that I have placed. So it will say a string. If I give a value as 98, then what should type? Can anybody tell me? Can
integer?
No. No, that is
Integer?
String.
It would be a string. That is a catch here. Whenever you are taking a value from the user, it is always a string. So I'll press enter. It says it is a string. Even if it is a number, it is a string. So there is a gap here. Whatever you give the input, it is always taken as a string. Whenever you are taking a value from the user, it has to be a string. From next time onwards, I would really request all of you to please put your answers in the chat box instead of unmuting the mic and then speaking, because then everybody is speaking and there would be a confusion. In fact, I will also not come to know what is your answer. So better you put it onto the chat box. Again, I am stressing the chat box is always open for me. So if you have any doubts or questions, put on the chat box. If you have any answers to make, please put it on the chat box. Yes, very good question, Rupa. Rupa ma'am, how to now do the operations onto it? Because operations, I have to take a number. If the number is not there, then I won't be able to do the operations. Correct. So what are we supposed to do? It is known as typecasting. What is the meaning of typecasting? Is I am changing the type from one to another. So I have taken a string, I am changing the type of the string to an integer and then using it. So how we are going to do it now? N is equal to input. Then I'll say N1 is equal to int of N. And now I can perform the operations. N1. And now if I say print type of N1, it will say it is an integer. Now I can also go ahead and say N1 plus, multiplied 7 and print N2 like this. So let's see. First of all, I'm giving a value. It says it has printed N1. Then it is printing the type. Now it has changed to because I have typecasted it. I have typecasted it, so it is printing as integer, and I can do the calculations. I can do the multiplication, division, subtraction, addition, whatever I want, and I have got the answer. Why always the output of division is in float data type? No, not necessary. Not necessary. It is in float data type because if it is not, because generally what we have is we say dot zero. When we when we always get a decimal point. If we divide 20 by 10, then also it will say 2.0. Okay, so there is no particular reason for it. You can again typecast it and make it as an integer if you don't want dot zero.
Excuse me, ma'am, but even if both the values are integer, like if in case of addition or multiplication or subtraction, if either one is float or your output will be float. But in case of division,
Yes.
both the values are integer, but still it gives me output in float data type. Is
Yes,
there any?
ma'am. Actually, no, because that's what I was telling you. 20 divided by 10, it will not give you 2, it will give you 2.0. To be precise, it always gives you the exact. So by default, Python has told that whatever the value should be, it should be always in decimal values, because there are 50-50 chances. It can be, the remainder can be 0 and the remainder cannot be 0. So it would be dot 0, 0.0 or 0.1 or 0.2, something like that. So in float, you can convert it into an integer using typecasting. Okay. Now, one thing is, when I am asking you the input, it is not showing me any message. What should I enter? Because when I am executing it, it only gives me a blank box. So when I am executing it after 10 days, 20 days, I won't remember what I have to input here. I want to have a there that I have to enter a number, or I have to enter a string, or I have to enter a character, whatever. There should always be a message to know what am I supposed to enter, isn't it? So why not give a message here by simply writing, please enter a number. It will ask me to please enter a number like this. Isn't it good? It is always better a message. So message the user who is going to execute the program to know what he or she is supposed to enter. Secondly, it has 6 lines of code. I can change the number of lines of code by combining some statements together. How can I do that? I can simply say N and do the typecasting in the same step. Input, please enter a number. If you are giving one bracket, the opening bracket, the closing bracket would be automatically given by the IDE. That is an advantage of using an IDE. Like this, these two lines are combined together. These two lines are combined. Then I can say print n. Okay. I can also print the type of n. And then I have also done two statements. I can combine these two statements also. I can simply say print n multiplied by 67. So directly it will first ask me a number, multiply it by 67 and give me the answer. Madam, where can we get simple worksheets which have normal spoken English and its equal in Python? Ma'am, that Satyashri sir, it is never the same. Whatever you speak, it cannot be converted into Python language. Yes, because Python is a computer language and it has certain limitations, certain rules that you need to follow. So you can never have a one-to-one correspondence with English language. For example, if you say get out of the door, yeah, get out of the class, you cannot have a Python equivalent for it, isn't it? You can just have a print statement for it. Print, get out of the class. But you cannot force any student to go out. So there would never be a one-to-one correspondence. Yeah, mathematical operations are, as I have already told you. Let me go back to the slides because that contains the mathematical operations. Printing to the screen, reading from the keyboard, this I've done. We can also have a comment there by using 3 dots. So here I can have a comment like this and then enter anything which would be treated as a comment. Okay. I can also give the comment like this, hash this. So this is a comment like this. The comments can be given. Then it is dynamically typed. Whatever you type, you get the answers there and then. The declaration happens automatically. As I was telling you, you don't have to specify that it should be an integer or a character. So declaration is done by default. Whatever the value you give to the variable will become of that type. If you give an integer, the variable will become an integer type. If you give a string, the variable will become a string type. Variables can change type simply by assigning them a new value that I have already showed you. And I can also do multiple assignments. I can say A is equal to B is equal to C is equal to 1. That is also possible. If I want to assign a single value to all the variables, I can do it like this. Or I can assign it in one statement. What it is trying to do basically is reducing the number of statements that you are writing. Like in the previous example I showed you, I can combine two statements together and have only one statement. So Python gives you a lot of flexibility in doing this. You can combine a lot of statements so that you can have only one statement to be printed. Okay? And also it's multiple, it's product with 50. So you have to multiply it and then print it. Take a number from the user, print the number, and also multiply the number by 50 and then print it again. Do it fast. It will hardly take 3 lines of code, and in fact, I have already showed you how to do it. In the chat box, you have to give the answer in the chat box. These are the different functions which are available. INT, float, ABS, CMP, exponential, log, power, square root. I can find out the power by using two multiplications. Square root also is one of the functions which I can use. So just modify the program and find out the power with respect to, instead of multiplication with 50, yeah, CMP is comparison. You are comparing X with Y. So the output of X would be -1, 0, or 1. Once we do the conditional statements, we'll see that. To do the find out its square. Take a number from the user, print its cube. Yes, that is for power. So I have taken a number from the user and I want to print its cube. I simply say into 3. Its cube is printed. No, we don't do this. We do into for the cube. Multiply twice. Everybody done? Yes, Mani Magalai, ma'am. Then we can find out the square root also by using a function. Okay, we'll come to the strings later. I want to show you the if condition. Now, as I told you, if condition is of utmost importance if you want to check for something. So if we say if, suppose I have taken a number from the user and I'm checking whether the number the user is entering is greater than 10 or not. So I'll say if I'll take a number from the user, num is equal to IIT, input, please enter a number. And then I want to check whether the number which the user has entered is greater than 10 or not. So I'll simply say if num is greater than 10, see it very, very carefully now. I give a colon. So what is the meaning of colon? Colon says that I'm going to start a code block. What is the meaning of code block? All those who must have done the flow charts, they must be knowing it. Like we have something as this, the flow chart. So I'm checking the condition is num greater than 10, and there would be two paths for this. There would be either yes or no. Indra ma'am, you will have to check it on your own at your end. Okay? And then I want to execute a number of statements if it goes as yes. If it goes as no, then also I have to execute a number of statements like this. Like this. So all this should be inside one code block, because all these statements need if it is no. Yeah, all these statements should be executed if it is yes. Okay, so I have to check for the condition. If the number entered is greater than 10, I will do task 1, 2, and 3. And if it is greater than 10, I will do the task 4, 5, and 6. It should be like if num is greater than 10, you do 1, 2, and 3. And if else, you do 4, 5, and 6. Like this. Right. Generally in C, C++, and Java, we use brackets. We use brackets to signify the code block. The code block is starting and code block is ending. But in Python, what we do is we give a colon. As soon as we give a colon, an indentation is given. As soon as you press enter, you see there is some indentation. Indentation means a space. Some space is given. This space. So this space signifies I'm going to write a code block. So whatever I write inside this code block, this all these statements would be executed if this condition is satisfied. Correct. So like suppose if I say I again go back, press enter, print Pooja, print IIT, print the number is than 10, etc., etc. Print again, I want to print something, mouse. Okay? Now I want to say if number is not greater than 10, else again I will give a colon, that is I'm going to new code block and say print the number is not print keyboard, print computer. Okay, so if the condition is met, these four statements would be printed. If the condition is not met, then these statements would be printed. And if I suppose this, if I remove the indentation, then at any point of time, this would be executed. I'll say I am always execute because I have removed the indentation. You see here, indentation. So indentation. So even if the condition is true or false, this will always be executed. So let's see this program. It is asking me to enter a number. Suppose if I say at 30, 30 means is true. The condition is true. So Pooja, triple ID, the number is greater than 10, mouse, all these statements should be printed. See, and I'm always executed. This will always be printed. And secondly, I say the number is less than 10, suppose the number is 7, then these statements would be printed. But this statement will always be executed apart from the if-else block. This statement, the else block. Always executed from if-else block. If condition is true, condition is false, isn't it? You also write this code. I'm copy pasting this code and to execute this code. And I'm writing a program for you. Write a program to take a number from the user. If the number is greater than 100, print its square. Else, print its cube. Try writing this program. You take a number from the user. If the number is greater than 100, you print its square. Otherwise, you print its cube. Got it? Write the complete code. Aparna ma'am, paste the complete code. I'm giving you a couple of minutes to try it on your own.
Yes, ma'am. I'll do. Yes.
Perfect. Nitya ma'am, perfect. I want the answer from those people who are doing it for the first time. So then I would feel they were able to do it after the workshop. Okay. Yes, Vigasna ma'am. Anyone else who's doing for the first time? Anyone who is doing for the first time? Very good. Very good, Saurabh sir, Jyoti ma'am. Ma'am, better use instead of using this, Jyoti ma'am, instead of buying it by price, better use the power command or function.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
You can simply num comma 2 or 3 accordingly. You can use it like this also, and num. So better use it this way, because writing it num into num into num into num is not a good thing. Yes. Mani Megalai ma'am, perfect. Perfect. Are you able to do it? Perfect, Rupa ma'am. Ma'am, I think you have just written it. You need to have a colon also. Perfect. So I think most of the people are able to do it. If you are facing any problems, please let me know right now. Okay, now we do some manipulations on strings. What happens is whenever you writing some real world, then you have to work on strings, because strings will correspond to all the addresses, the values, names, and mostly we have to operate on strings. So we need to do some manipulations on strings. And there are various functions which are used on strings. The most important one is slicing. We'll see that. Suppose I say S is equal to Pooja Jain. I write the complete name. Okay, let me have something else. Indian Institute of Information Technology. Written the complete sentence. Suppose S is equal to this. And I want only Indian to be retrieved. Okay, first of all, I can go ahead and print S. First of all, so let's see if it is printed. Now I want only the Indian part to be there. Okay. So instead of applying logic at this point of time. I'm not going for any loops or anything. I'm just counting the number of words, letters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think always starts from 0. So I'll say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I can say print S, and I'm slicing from where to where. So I'll say from 0 to 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll say 6. Because 6 is always excluded. So it's from 0 to 5. So let's see if we get the answer. Yes. 0 to 6. Divya ma'am, we don't have icon, but we have list. And I don't think maybe we will be able to do lists today, but probably we'll take some time to go on to list tuples and dictionaries. So I am printing the values from 0 to 6. Since I want technology, so I have to start counting from here, or I can start counting from the last. So what I can do is 1 minus minus 5, minus 7, minus 8, minus 9, minus 10. So I can also go ahead and say print S from minus 10 to the last. Get the answer? Yes. Minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8, minus 9, minus 10. So from minus 10 to the last. Jyoti ma'am, have some patience. We will be going on to the. So we would be covering loops and functions today. Okay? Yes, Saurabh sir will be doing range also. This is known. Slicing is very important. It would be used in your NumPy. NumPy is a very important library which is used in Python, and it is used for machine learning algorithms. Rajam Pal ma'am, Pal sir, I have counted here. There is no way in which I can get the last word. I can only get the last 3 letters or last 4 letters or last 10 letters. So I have 10 letters. I have counted. If I write something, suppose if I say x minus 6 and so I won't get the complete word. I won't get only knowledge. Since it was minus 10, so I was able to get technology. Can anybody tell me how to retrieve institute? Institute. I want to retrieve institute. So let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have to start from 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I want to include 15. So what I'll say 16. So print S 7 to 16. So we got institute. Because if we say 15, then 15 is always excluded. See, E is not printed. 15 value. So we have to make it 16. Like this. Okay. So why I am doing this? Because I find it important to find out what is the meaning of slicing. we're doing with here, I and by this I can get -1, -2, -3, -4, and so. Okay? So I can give a slice range, and I can also find that a particular element is present in a string or by using in. Can I do this? I can simply say if I in S print I is present, I is present. And if I say Z, and I'll say else print Z is present. So I can check whether an element is present or not. And when I'm doing this, I can also check for words. Correct? So I can check for characters and I for words. Got it? So if I want to check for the membership of any character or any word in a sentence, I can do this. In is a keyword. Hitesh sir, this is a constant. I can print anything here. It doesn't matter if the spelling is wrong or right. Okay? Got it? I can do the concatenation also. So let's do one that also. I'll say S1 is equal to Nagpur, and I'll say S2 is equal to S1 plus S2, and try to print S2. This is what I in the morning session also. I can do the concatenation with the help of the plus sign.